Alice Springs is the third largest town in the Northern Territory of Australia. Known as Stuart until the 31st of August 1933. The name Alice Springs was given by Surveyor William Whitfield Mills after Alice, Lady Todd, wife of the telegraph pioneer Sir Charles Todd. Now colloquially known as the Alice or simply Alice. The town is situated roughly in Australia's geographic centre. It is nearly equidistant from Adelaide and Darwin. The area is known as Maparntwe to its original inhabitants, the Arianthe, who have lived in the central Australian desert in and around what is now Alice Springs for tens of thousands of years. Alice Springs had an urban population of 26,534 in June 2018, having declined an average of 1.16% per year the preceding 5 years. The town's population accounts for approximately 10% of the population of the Northern Territory. The town straddles the usually dry Todd River on the northern side of the MacDonnell Ranges. The surrounding region is known as Central Australia, or the Red Centre, an arid environment consisting of several different deserts. Temperatures in Alice Springs can vary, with an average maximum in summer of 35.6 degrees Celsius and an average minimum in winter of 5.1 degrees Celsius. The Arianthe people are the traditional owners of the Alice Springs area and surrounding MacDonnell Ranges. They have lived in the area for at least 30,000 years. The traditional name for the township area is Maparntwe. Their name has been spelt in various forms, including Aranda, Aranta, and Arunta. There are 5 dialects of the Arianthe language: Southeastern, Central, Northern, Eastern and Northeastern. Arianthe country is rich with mountain ranges, waterholes and gorges, which create a variety of natural habitats. According to Arianthe traditional histories, the landscape was shaped by the Iperenye, Tilke, Utnarangatye caterpillars and Akng Valley or wild dogs. The numerous sites of traditional importance in and around Alice Springs include Anthwerke, Atnelketyalivik and Alekulale. In 1861-62, John McDouall Stuart led an expedition through Central Australia, to the west of what later became Alice Springs, thereby establishing a route from the south of the continent to the north. A white settlement named after Stuart was started 10 years later with the construction of a repeater station on the Australian Overland Telegraph Line, which linked Adelaide to Darwin and Great Britain. The OTL was completed in 1872. It traced Stuart's route and opened up the interior for permanent settlement. The Alice Springs Telegraph Station was sited near what was thought to be a permanent waterhole in the normally dry Todd River. Named Alice Springs by W. W. Mills after the wife of the Superintendent of Telegraphs and Postmaster General of South Australia, Sir Charles Todd, who was the driving force for constructing the OTA. The nearby settlement of Stuart was renamed as Alice Springs on the 31st of August 1933. The Todd River and its tributary the Charles River, which meet near the telegraph station, were named after Sir Charles. It was not until alluvial gold was discovered at Altunga, 100 kilometers east of the present Alice Springs, in 1887 that any significant European settlement occurred. The town's first substantial building was the Stuart Town Jail in Parsons Street. This was built in 1909, when the town had a European population of fewer than 20 people. Many of the jail's first prisoners were first contact Aboriginal men incarcerated for killing cattle. The first aircraft, piloted by Francis Stewart Briggs, landed in 1921. Central Australia's first hospital, Adelaide House, was built in 1926 when the European population of the town was about 40. It was not until 1929, when the train line to Alice was built, that the town's European population began to grow. Aboriginal Centralians outnumbered European Centralians until the mid-1930s. From 1926 to 1931, Alice Springs was the seat of government for the now defunct territory of Central Australia. Until the 31st of August 1933, the town was officially known as Stuart. The original mode of British Australian transportation in the outback were camel trains, operated by immigrants from Pathan tribes in the northwest frontier of then British India. known locally as Afghan cameliers based at Hargit Springs, or Mary as it is now known. Many cameliers moved to Alice Springs in 1929 when the railway finally reached the town. They lived on the block where the town council is now, transporting goods from the railhead to stations and settlements to the north. A gold rush in Tennant Creek in 1932 kept the wheels of the Alice Springs economy turning until the outbreak of World War II. Alice Springs was connected to Darwin by rail on 4 February 2004. When the first passenger train arrived in Darwin from Adelaide, World War II brought significant changes to Alice Springs. Prior to the war, Alice Springs was an extremely isolated settlement of fewer than 500 people. During the war,